I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook babies.
Welcome back.
Hey Ben,
Hello
that's a
there.
really cool middle name you got there. What's I'm sure it's not in reference to anything that happened recently, right?
Anything? Yeah, and these never have anything to do with current events.
Yeah.
Yes, I guess for people who just listen, I always have a nickname in my name,
No.
in quotes. It's usually random. Well, not red. It's usually like has to do with something current in current events.
Yeah.
But doesn't necessarily have to do with what we're going to talk about in the episode. This is so. If you've been paying attention this week, the guy set himself on fire, which is sad. Like that alone, if I just told you man sets himself on fire, that'd be very sad, right? Well, let's talk about this man. So he was an Air Force something soldier. He very dramatic. It was actually so dramatic that I almost thought it was fake at first. Like his last words were "Free Palestine," which sounds like something out of fan fiction.
Yeah.
No, that was very much real. He did die. Again, like suicide is a terrible thing. It's you're not the only person who suffers when you kill yourself. I feel terrible for his family.
Right.
This seems really avoidable. Like we are the free speech podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like this kid got, I say kid, I mean he was in the Army or Air Force. Definitely sounds like he got caught up in online discourse about bullshit because he uses all the terminology. Like one of his last posts were like whiteness erases culture. A lot of stuff about imperialism, colonialism, settlers, and obviously he was very invested in the Israel-Palestine fight, the war going on, and he made a. Now we're going to talk about the discourse after, which is really what I wanted to talk about at first, but and because a lot of times on TRM we're trying not to get to the political part of it. It's more about like the cultural part of it, even the artistic part of it. But here, I just want to say, like, there is a post out that's fake. I want to be clear. There's one that is like so inflammatory that it is like, and it is fake. It's something along the lines of, Palestine will be free when all the Jews are dead, right? It's almost like if you're going to make a fake post, use a little more tact. Like that's just so
right.
Right. And that has been debunked, but the same sites that have debunked it do have verified that another, which I find to be just as inflammatory post that I'm going to read quickly just to show, so you don't think I'm just being inconsiderate about this person. He didn't give a shit about civilians being massacred, and I'm going to read it. So this is from Ace Bush 1. So Reddit post has been verified to be him. Again, in publications that are very against Israel in this war, like The Intercept, who I very much trust. So they have clarified that this is true. He goes, hey, so I'm not Palestinian and am no position to endorse or condemn Hamas's actions. Right there, not a good start. Right. You can be as pro-Palestine as it gets and still condemn Hamas's actions, which were, killing children and grandmothers and innocent civilians. Right. So right there, not a good start. That being said, neither are most people, and there are a lot of very confidently ignorant opinions being thrown around. There are no Israeli civilians, in quotes. He puts civilians in quotes, or tourists who have no part of the oppression of Palestine. That idea doesn't make any sense and betrays a lack of understanding of what the oppression of Palestine even is. Israel is a settler, colonialist, apartheid state. That's in italics. All of its residents or their immediate forebears have moved there specifically to settle on stolen land. Land whose people are being cornered and cleansed just a few miles away, or right next door in the case of the West Bank. There are no Israelis without the genocide of the Palestinian people. To bring this into stark relief, there is the example of the music festival, which the liberal states and media have made such a point of clutching their pearls over, in quotes. A music festival. How could it get more innocent than a music festival? End quote. That music festival was happening just 3 miles from Gaza, within sight of the border wall. Imagine a similar event happening in the early days of the colonization of North America. Can you or I really say that indigenous people are wrong for retaliating against colonizers who are rubbing their domination in their face? So that's the person who killed himself. So I don't feel bad about him killing himself. Am I wrong, Joe? Am I wrong there? And not feeling bad?
No, I don't think so. I think I'm just as heartless as you. So I think, no, I'm kidding. No. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, of course it's a tragedy, and yeah, it sucks that this person got sucked down this rabbit hole. But at the same time, it's just like, you if you want to do good in the world, like go volunteer at a soup kitchen. Like don't commit suicide in public.
Well, it's not just like he's not. It's not like he was posting about all of the children that Israel has killed,
right?
All of the indiscriminate bombing, the famine, Israel. There are many members of the Israeli government who are, basically saying we want a genocide, ethnic cleansing, all of that. That's not what he was saying.
Right.
He goes out of his way to say there are no innocent civilians, that the revelers at the music festival basically deserve to die.
Yeah.
He came very close to just saying it's collateral damage.
Right.
I don't feel bad for people like that. He specifically says tourists.
Yeah.
If you're gonna start using that logic, and it's he says, well, would we retaliate against would we blame the Native Americans? It's yeah, lots of the natives committed horrible atrocities against civilians, not just against the American government.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. That's not celebrated that they scalped women.
Right.
Read Empire of the Summer Moon. It doesn't not everything is black and white. And that's why these people are such fucking idiots.
Right.
That and it's impossible to have rational conversations with both sides. The ardent supporters on both sides. It's really hard to have any sort of constructive, rational conversation, because they neither want to do very rarely will they just say no, Hamas is evil. What they're doing is wrong. They actually have they have blood on their hands for their own people, and yet it's still wrong what Israel does. And you can go down that route, but very few do that.
Right.
So him celebrate, I looked it up, think 340 people were killed at this music festival.
Jesus Christ.
And while a lot of the violence has been exaggerated in some ways, beheading babies and things like that, women absolutely were raped. How many? I don't know. But when you start counting how many women were raped at something, that you're really not on the right side there. You're not on the right team if you're defending that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I honestly think this is going to get the, I don't know. I don't want to say George Floyd, because I do think George Floyd was absolutely a legitimate victim, even though it's a little hazy.
Mm-hmm.
Murder charge, all the evidence has come out one way or the other. I'm not going to get into that, but I have a lot of sympathy for George Floyd.
Sure.
He did not deserve to die by any means. He did not deserve to have a knee on his neck for 9 minutes, right?
Yeah.
But I think why I'm even bringing that up is I think there's going to be a similar situation here where all of the hosannas are being sung about Aaron Bushnell, and then when we look into him, no, he was nuts.
Yeah.
He was we're lucky that he didn't turn a plane. I don't know if he even flew planes. He was in the Air Force. I don't know exactly what he did.
Right.
But, this sounds like someone who would have turned a plane on his own people. Right. What is and I think I didn't confirm it because I was very careful with this, because I know this sounds heartless.
Mm-hmm.
But my name is Ben Extra Crispy D'Alessio because someone set themselves on fire. I the gut reaction is going to be that's a heartless, sick thing. It's no, this guy, I'm pretty sure he celebrated, and this I will fact check, and if I'm wrong, I will correct it. When those 3 soldiers died in Jordan, I'm pretty sure he celebrated that.
Jeez.
I need to check. That's his own fucking military.
Right.
Why we were in Jordan, it's a different thing. Who we were fighting there, the American people not knowing that we have soldiers all over the world. I'm on that side.
Sure, yeah.
Get them the fuck out of there. Yeah. But to celebrate that, this is the kind of person that this was. This wasn't just some act of conscientious objecting in the most extreme way, where it's I will not stand by this anymore. This would be this is people who would be okay with the Viet Cong killing American citizens, American civilians. It's no, it's also not okay. Just because what we're doing is wrong.
Yeah.
Like you don't just, and that happens so often where it's almost like he was kind of like a defector in a way. It felt like. Now, luckily, and someone posted this, so the last thing I say about this is that what's scary is the next Aaron Bushnell is probably going to be a suicide bomber. And the best thing he could have done, honestly, for our sake, is set himself on fire and not take people with him.
Right.
And again, I'm happy to talk this out with anyone who finds this heartless, but this isn't someone who's just like posting cringe anarchist, whiteness erases culture, the Israelis are colonizers, shit, whatever. Like this, he's saying that, like, I'm not going to judge that Hamas massacred people at a music festival, which was, for the record, about, now it's the most like neo-lib thing ever, but it was for Gaza. Like it was a music festival to try and bridge some divides.
Yeah.
Obviously that's, the irony is perverse there, but like that's what it was for. And for you to say that it's okay that they were massacred, which is what he's saying without saying it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I don't care if you set yourself on fire then. You did us all a favor.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk about the reaction to it, especially from the
yes, yeah, which is, it's like you can't fucking win. It's like white men can't win. So go ahead, you tee it up.
Yeah, so there have been, of course, it's the sort of woke intersectional critical theory types on the left who are cheering this on. The group that's always been in favor of, like, talking about mental health and supporting people who have suicidal thoughts because you matter and you're heard. But now that he committed suicide in public, it's like, oh, you brave man, he did this courageous thing and for Palestine, and I hope this raises awareness for this cause and blah blah blah. And there's also the rest in power thing.
That's what I wanted to talk about was that. So he kills himself, right? For the top 3, I would say, off the top of my head, top 3 like social justice causes, right?
Yeah,
I would say Palestine is up there.
Yep,
probably now number 1, like in the current atmosphere, but top 3 generally. He pays the ultimate sacrifice in one of the most horrible ways that I think you can kill yourself.
Yeah,
like truly one of the most awful ways. And yet, because many people use the there's kind of 3 when someone dies. There's the classic rest in peace, right? Fairly neutral, kind of pro. Then there's rest in piss, which was like very big during Osama bin Laden. That was a big like rest in piss thing. My friend had a T-shirt with was it a Calvin pissing on him? Like there's the Calvin peeing things, Hobbs, like rest in piss. And then there's rest in power. Now, I don't think it was any sort of majority, but enough voices on Twitter took umbrage with using rest in power because Aaron Bushnell was a cis white man.
Yeah.
And even though he set himself on fire to bring attention to a cause that does not need attention being brought to, it is in the news every single day, covered by everyone. That because people started using rest in power, the crits came out after those people, of course, turning the attention away from the straight white man, cis straight white man who set himself on fire, to criticize that language, because that language is not reserved for white men who kill themselves, only for people of color.
Yeah. And seeing the sort of black activist class, Twitter class, criticize this has been absolutely hilarious.
It's an intersectional pretzel.
Yeah, it is. And then you're also seeing white people saying, "Don't say that because it's reserved for black people," which just seems
and of course, I love whenever there's like a tweet or comment like that. It's always like the words, right? And then you click, and then you click over, and it's the picture of the person, and they always look the same. Yeah, it's like an overweight, multi-pierced, off-colored hair, pudgy, smarmy looking, pasty SJW crit.
And it's the funniest thing. So like just seeing like all like just seeing them divert their attention. It's like, yeah, I know this is like a big thing, but I got to correct. Don't say Don't say rest in power to about a white man. It's like, yeah, that's the real thing. That's the real tragedy in all of this.
Right. It's just like that's what it shows that it's such an illness that
Mhm.
these people have, that even like I have more sympathy for him in this respect.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'm criticizing him on his own words that I disagree with, that are sick to me. Like,
Yeah.
but the act itself and people commending that act who maybe don't have the same information that I have, that he said, and a lot of them do, and they don't give a shit because they're also broken humans.
Yeah.
But it's like your go-to for clout in your own small echo chamber
Yeah.
is to immediately criticize the language of people lauding, like, the most in their world. He did the greatest thing you could do for many of them. And now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of very left activists who are like, do not celebrate suicide, right? This
Right.
is bad. Like, of course. And I do think this is a vast minority of voices going, but it wasn't like this was just one crazy account with 200 followers that people are like, no, there's like a lot of, there's a good amount, it's got a good amount of attention by different people who are saying the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not like the one tweet was getting retweeted. And even that happens sometimes. I'm like, oh, is that a fake account? But no, this was black people. This was white people. It was, the usual suspects for what they look like.
Do you follow Wilfred Riley on Twitter?
I think so. Yeah.
He's good. I like him. He's he's half black,
Wilfred
I believe.
Riley. Yeah. Is he like a professor?
I believe he's a professor
in
and
Northern Kentucky, I think.
Yeah. Anyway, he's a good follow. So he actually kind of debunked the whole rest in power thing. So he tweeted this: as a former 1990s/2000s raver kid, it seems worth noting that the phrase "rest in power" was first widely used to commemorate all races activists like Rachel Corrie and the graffiti artist Dream, and probably does not originate with Black Americans at all.
Yeah,
and then he pulls up an article. It looks like from Wikipedia, where it just kind of goes more into the history of it. It's like, yeah, it was not really so specifically a Black American thing. So
yeah, I think he's the one. I think I heard him on maybe Barry Weiss's podcast. I'm pretty sure he wrote a book about like debunking all of the hate crime hoax.
Yeah,
which is that came out in 2019, and it's like still. I'm not saying there aren't any hate crimes, but very often the ones that are so upsetting are usually fake because people aren't that dumb. Like you can't do that. For a lot of people, it doesn't mean there aren't some.
Sure.
But like there was one, I just retweeted it. I just reposted it 2 days ago, maybe yesterday, where it was at, I think, University of Albany or somewhere in New York. And it's women, and they call the police saying they're getting attacked by a bunch of white men. I think it's mixed race women. It's a black woman, maybe 2 white women. And of course, there's a video on the bus because there's videos on everything now. Like, everything's recorded. And not only did that not happen, it was they were attacking the group of white guys.
No, jeez.
And it's like, it just shows. It's like, my God, like, it's so like, that's why people have to be so careful with this inflammatory shit that comes out. It's like, just wait and see, because very, very often, I don't know the percentages, very often this is not true.
Yeah.
Again, it happened here in New Jersey a few years ago, back, I think, pre-2020, but when Black Lives Matter was a thing, where a girl got at Kane University, where a girl got so caught up in the moment of some protest, a black girl, she went into the school library, made, I think, a Twitter account, and started inciting violence, like pretending to be a white person.
Jesus
and
Christ.
They caught her, and I think she got charged. And it's like, that kind of shit goes on and on and on. And it's really disturbing to me. It's like, well, what if there weren't, like, the worst? Look, I am the biggest, I'm like a tough on crime person, like violent crime. I'm libertarian on some areas of crime, but on violent crime, I am like, we are way too soft on violent crime in this country.
Oh yeah.
And in a lot of cities. I'll deal with it personally in my job. I see, not that I do criminal law, but a lot of the work I do has I deal with the victims in a civil sense, and there will be parallel criminal cases. And I'm looking at what they're getting, and it's like that's it. No. Like that's what you're charging them with. That's what the plea deal is. Like, what the hell? And like, the victims, they have a say, but they don't get to make the decision in the end. Right. It's the state or the city or the county or whatever it is. And So it's like, so that being said, bearing false witness, it's literally a cardinal sin.
Yeah.
Like so these people lying about these crimes, it's like that is so much worse. I mean, that's what tanked Me Too. It doesn't mean that Me Too didn't have legitimate victims. Many of them. I know there are sick guys out there, a lot of sick men who did horrible things, but a lot of men who did nothing wrong also got their lives ruined because of people just lying and making things up. So like these hate crimes. So I say all of that because Wilford Riley was, I think I have his book on my list. I'm not sure, but I do know him, and he's I appreciate his work.
So speaking of violence, real quick, we didn't decided to talk about this, but this just popped up on Twitter, and I saved it because I want to write something about it. Just real quick, just like a quick little side thing. So this is a real paper that was published. I don't know how to pronounce that. Dig, whatever. Who cares? Anyways, this is a real research paper. This is what it says in the abstract. Writing the literature review is not a neutral act. In fact, the key central aim of consolidating work in a particular research area is to demonstrate one's knowledge of this area. That is, one must know the conversations concerning the research topic. Literary review becomes violent in the Bourdieusian sense because it imposes particular configurations of privileged knowledge on researchers. Thus, in this paper, we argue that literature review is an act of symbolic violence and, in the process, epistemic theft. And central to this practice is the construction of research questions. Oh my God. And so the paper is called The Violence of Literature Review and the Imperative to Ask New Questions.
Yeah. Did that come out like today? Was that posted?
I think so.
I think I saw the headline. I was like, I don't have the mental capacity for that.
Peter Boghossian quote tweeted, he goes, I was not part of this. So quick recap, he along with James Lindsay and Helen Pluckrose were part of the grievance studies hoax where they just made up random social justice crap. This sounds so much, it's just, but it's funny. It cracks me up that this is such it's criticizing the privileged, the privileged world of literature review. But it's couched in such academic language. So it's like, no, you actually have to have been privileged. You have to have gone to a privileged university to understand this crap.
Well, the great irony of these people is everything that's not violence is violence, and real violence is not violence. Real violence is like the voices of the unheard. Right. It's, it's resistance. Yeah. It's whatever. It's like, no, smashing people's cars to take their radios or whatever they steal now is not violence, right? That's an act of resistance and against the capitalist state. But what's the term I'm looking for? Curating novels or whatever it is violence, or it's just amazing that these people haven't been. I guess there's less room for that. A lot of media and academics is kind of shedding this shit, but it's still around.
Somebody posted a funny review. Not a review. A meme from Futurama. And one of the characters, he's standing on the ledge of a building, and he says, "I'm going to jump. I'm going to kill myself." And then the crowd below him is saying, "No, don't." And he goes, "For Palestine." And then somebody in the audience goes, "Do a backflip." But it's just to your point of real violence isn't violence if it's in favor of this other. It's like, well, it's not suicide if it's for Palestine. It's not mental health issues if it's for a cause. It's just,
yeah, man, it's a really bad, oh God, I feel, because I think part of the Aaron Bushnell thing, again, there's no, I don't care how warped you are from Reddit or Twitter or whatever it is, if you're just kind of glossing over the deaths of civilians, here's an example. I'm very much for the Ukraine-Russia war. I'm one of those, do not give another cent to Ukraine. And I've been that way since the beginning, really. I'm there's nuclear implications here. It's not our war. I'm as what's isolationist as it gets. Yeah. I think very few exceptions. Our military should ever be involved abroad. Yeah. That doesn't mean I'm okay, bomb the hospitals in Kiev, bomb, destroy Mariupol. I'm not for civilians dying. Yes, I do believe that NATO was a big aggressor, and I'm not going to go into the whole history of it, but an explanation is not justification. I'm explaining and I have my reasons for why I think Russia doing what they're doing doesn't mean I think it's justified that Russia's massacring civilians in Ukraine. But as an American and our government's involvement and us giving billions and billions and billions of dollars to a stalemate in a war that Ukraine can't win, that money could go towards our own country. Like that's a big difference, you know. Like, and people like Aaron Bushnell, they don't make those distinctions. And that so that's what I'm saying. Like I don't care how warped you are from media. Like civilian death is civilian death.
Yeah.
Like that. So I don't think there's an excuse there. He wasn't a 15-year-old, right? It's kind of scary that someone like that was in our military.
Right.
And it's like, hey, military recruitment's down. It's like, I wonder fucking why.
Yeah.
Like, I wonder why military recruitment's down. You have people like that in it. You have like DEI shit and you know, commanders in heels, not women, and people like Aaron Bushnell lighting themselves on fire in front of the Israeli embassy. Yeah. So I did see a quote from him though that I love, and I think I'm going to use on this podcast. And I don't think I'm using it the same way he did, but it's one of his long Reddit rants. He ends it with "Scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds." Like, because remember, he's on that side that's like so left. That's like Joe Biden's a fascist, right? And I think I've made arguments that actually we are a fascist government. Absolutely, when you look at what fascism actually is, not like Nazi. Like Nazism was a very specific type of fascism. Like, no, like what fascism is, I absolutely think we're a fascist government, a fascist society. Not but like without the fun stuff, like cool uniforms and shit.
Right.
But and like a you know, like people wanting to be fit, you know that sort of shit from our government. Our government's
blowing
like,
up bug planets and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Like that kind of fun shit.
Yeah,
like the fun parts of fascism.
Exactly. Yeah. Unisex showers.
Yeah, but I forgot I was going with this.
Fascism.
Scratch a liberal fascist bleeds is definitely going to be a recurring line on this show.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, speaking of killing, guess who killed it this past Saturday
night?
You
were nailing these segues. I always wait, and that was very good. I was like, what's he going to do with this one? Yeah. So,
what about heroes?
Shane Gillis returned triumphantly to SNL. Did you watch live?
No, I did not. I watched it a little after the fact.
Well, yeah, SNL where you are is at like 7:30 or something. No, I'm kidding. It's at like 8:30.
I don't know.
Well, it starts, isn't it?
Oh, that's right, because it's East Coast, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So that's like it's weird to me. So I think SNL, I think like late night.
Yeah.
But for you, it's like not that late. So anyway, West Coast people are weird. I don't know how you guys do it.
Living in the past.
Yeah, it's like NFL games start at like 10 a.m. or something. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
No, they start at 9 a.m. 9,
so,
10, 11. No, 10 a.m. Yeah, 1 o'clock's East, Central's noon, Mountain's 11. Yeah.
I'm too busy skipping church on Sunday, so
yeah. So anyway, West Coast people are weird, but I think that's why you guys are all nuts out there and like all the crazy.
Because we're missing out on that 3 hours of sleep all the time.
Yeah, you're not. I guess it's just weird. It just messes with you.
Yeah.
We're a big country. Anyway, so yeah, Shane returned to SNL. I did watch live, pretty much all of it.
Mm-hmm.
I guess start with the monologue.
I thought the opening monologue was pretty great. I was hoping he would have taken a few more shots at SNL itself, like Norm's legendary return after he was fired by Don O'Miner. But
yeah, I don't know if Shane has that bone in him like Norm does. Like Norm had a scathingness to him and more of a I don't give a fuck attitude.
Yeah,
which I don't think Shane has. Again, this isn't a comment on like right or wrong. I just don't. They're not the same type of comedian, even though they're both great. Yeah. I did like the monologue. I liked a lot. I wish again, we were talking about like Norm. Like I wish he seemed so concerned with the audience, which one, like you're not there. Like, I mean, you're not in his shoes. Like we're looking at him. He's looking at us, the audience in the room, and then audience on TV. But like they sounded good to me.
Yeah.
And he kept being like, oh, I thought like he even did kind of that cringe line that's like, oh, I thought you can have fun here or something. Like,
Right.
I wish he was a little more just ripping them out. Maybe once be like, oh, okay. That one didn't land, but he seemed very like he was too self-aware.
Yeah.
I think if he went more guns blazing, I'm sorry, SNL's audience is not Shane's audience.
Right.
It's just not. It doesn't mean you can't expand your audience, but the average the person who goes to see SNL in person, let alone watches on TV, the person who goes to see that in person is not Shane Gillis's comedy. So I think I wish he went in really doing it more for the people who aren't there. That's all. I thought it was very funny. I really liked his. I actually associated very much with one of his bits about like his mom, like being your best friends with your mom when you're a little boy. And he even did the song. I used to dance with my mom to Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Like that happened now. If my teachers found out about that now, that is like Ben dances with his mom to Man, I Feel Like a Woman, they'd like cut my dick off and they'd be calling me Lucy. Like it's crazy how times have changed.
Right.
But and then he says the joke. I mean, I can't imagine. That's one thing I can't imagine me stand-up comedy, like doing like a jerk off joke, and like his parents were there, by the way. It's like the moment that you stop being best friends with your mom is the moment you jerk off for the first time. Or very. He's like, it's like before it's like, let's go, girls. It's like, who's my dancer? And he's like, ooh. Like, I used to dance with my mom to that song, so it's very, very funny.
Yeah. And then he's but then once you discover masturbation, then you're just like, when's that bitch gonna leave the house?
Like, bitch, get out of here. There's work to get to.
I think he made a good point about how he was kind of like, hey, look at me, I'm being dangerous. Look at this audience. But I thought for the most part, I'm glad that he was just kind of he was making jokes that you typically don't hear on SNL or TV in general. So I'm glad that
the Down syndrome jokes.
Yeah, he did a bunch of those. But he did
the one about because you brought this up actually before about him, and a lot of comedians do that. It's like because we got to the point in not just comedy but culture where even saying the thing, even if that thing is you're making a positive, like a positive statement, let's say, about that thing. And I'm sounding very kind of nebulous here, so let me narrow it down. Like about people who are disabled, mentally disabled, or Down syndrome. Like he's saying positive things really about it. Like his family, I didn't know this, his family opened a coffee shop in his hometown for people with Down syndrome to work. Like that's amazing. You made I'm sorry, this is personal to me. Like I like this is part of my family too. Like he made jobs for people with disability. I don't know if he did it. Like I don't think this is in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, I believe. He lives but his family, they made jobs for people with disabilities. That's something the government can't do well.
Right.
So that is so commendable. But he also made jokes about how there's a long line. It's not necessarily it being so busy. The service isn't great. That is very funny. But it's not just again, it's not like point and laugh at the disabled person. He uses retard. I don't usually use that term personally, but it's not like that's because that's not funny. That's what comedy was for a while ago, not in a very long time. That's not funny. But even doing, it doesn't mean every joke has to be positive, but in the end, it's a bit about how it's personal to him. His niece has Down syndrome, how his family created jobs for people with Down syndrome, but also there's a good punchline. It's not going the best. So I just wanted, because I remember you said that about Shane before, and it's he'll make jokes about I don't know, trans issues and segregation and stuff, but about being positive, how a high school football team can erase generations of racism. That's all the trans need to do is put a ground and pound team together. And it's very, very, very funny. I thought he was, really good. I liked, do you want to move on from the monologue? I don't know if you saw any of the skits.
I watched a couple of them. I watched the Trump one. I thought it was just okay.
I liked it. I thought it was good because, they had really good timing because that you're going to be on it's not like you get SNL. It's oh shit, I'm on tomorrow. like they had that planned for a while. I mean, I'm assuming, you know, at least they were promoting him hosting it for a few weeks. So the Trump sneakers thing happened like probably right when they were preparing the show.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very funny how they did the Like Mike type thing.
Yeah.
Do you know Like Mike?
Isn't that movie about that kid who gets Michael Jordan's?
Yeah, like he gets the sneakers. Yeah, and it's Lil Bow Wow. I remember seeing that in theaters as a kid. Lil Bow Wow gets like Michael Jordan's old sneakers, and he can play basketball like Michael Jordan. And so they did that with Trump. You turn into Trump with the sneakers. I thought it was very funny. Obviously, I mean, Shane, I think, I mean, one of his biggest bits is just being Trump. He's amazing at it.
He is. But here's the thing. I thought I love the premise of that sketch. I thought that some of the jokes fell flat. I thought like they didn't quite go far enough. There was kind of, you're almost there. And I think Shane and Shane's, this isn't really a reflection on Shane either, because he's even said this before in another podcast where he said the easiest Trump for him to do is speech Trump, where he's just kind of like going balls out. He's like, it's really hard for me to do like regular casual interview Trump. So I felt like his Trump was more subdued in this. And I was like, I've seen him do like big over the top. It's like, yeah, that's what Trump is. He's big and over the top. But like for this one, just sort of like him in an office room, sort of, go a little bit bigger.
It also felt like he had to, again, like, what is the SNL audience? The SNL audience is the New York Times audience, right? It's the Washington Post audience. Like that's the viewership. NPR, like that's who's watching SNL regularly. So like, I mean, he might, like, Shane is a Trump voter. He might not admit it.
Yeah.
Shane definitely likes Trump. You can just tell. Like I've heard him enough. Like doesn't mean he doesn't criticize him sometimes, but Shane likes Trump. I would bet my money on it that he votes for Trump. And I feel like the skit it's like, we know you can do Trump really well. We want it, but this can't be like a Trump owning the libs thing. Like this has to be an anti-ish Trump skit. Now, I do give them credit. They did bash Biden at the end, which was shocking. To me, because they did what, Biden shoes or something, and he just falls over. I
thought the guy who did the impression of it was pretty good too.
The cold open was kind of cringe. It was a bunch of Republicans. I mean, it's true that Trump does his shit on them and then they end up loving him. I did like the guy who did Lindsey Graham. I thought he was very good. And I think Lindsey Graham has a very not iconic, but a very recognizable cadence and what was the affectation, I guess. I've kind of played this game sometime, and I do this with two groups of people. I do it with Europeans and I do it with Southerners sometimes. It's like gay or just Southern, and like, because there are some Southern accents that have like a stereotypical gayness to them. That I think Lindsey Graham kind of has that.
Right.
I do that with Europeans too. It's like gay or just European. It's hard to tell. Again, no, it's not a comment on it. It's just like sometimes I'm surprised. I'm like, oh no. Oh, you know who's a perfect example of this? Is the Chrisley Knows Best guy. You know who I'm talking about?
I don't think so.
Chrisley Knows Best. He's a big knows best. He's a big reality TV person. And he's married. Okay. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
How is this guy not gay?
Yeah.
Do you know him? Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. I'm looking at pictures of him.
Yeah, it's Todd Chrisley. Wealthy family. It's about just their lives, right? Oh, it's a real estate tycoon. Yeah, and exactly what I would think. And like the suburbs of Atlanta, right? Like these kind of very southern Atlanta, South Carolina, Nashville, like these like deep South cities. Not really like a, I wouldn't think of this as like a New Orleans or a Houston or a Miami, but like a kind of like that deep South region. There's that accent that, like, how is that guy not gay? That's shot for years. I thought he was. I thought that was the show. I thought he was like a gay real estate guy in the South. I'm like, oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
No, married to a woman with tons of kids. Doesn't mean every guy who's married to a woman is straight, but
Right.
that it's just very surprising to me. So anyway, that's a game I play sometimes. Feel free to join in.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
When do you guys play? Real quick, I want to cover I just want to scan through a few headlines covering Shane Gillis's return to SNL because they're exactly what you would expect.
Oh my God, hold on. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
Do you want to have been fucking hysterical?
What?
If the timing was, because you know how Norm always said he was going to kill himself if if the two things were reversed and Shane went on and did a self-immolation joke.
Oh shit!
That would have been. I think that would have been the greatest bit ever.
Yeah.
If like shortly after Aaron Bushnell set himself on fire, Shane came on and did a bit about setting himself on fire because he's hosting SNL after being fired. Oh my God! All right. Sometimes
that would have just tied everything together, huh?
Sometimes the planets don't align, but
oh man,
I'm gonna tweet that after this.
You should. So this is from here's a bad one. So this is from CNN. Opinion: Shane Gillis's turn on SNL shows that all too often bigotry sells.
CNN said that.
Yeah. This is from the Mary Sue. This Shane Gillis news just keeps getting worse and worse, and then they're just kind of going through like the.
Is this before or after he was on it?
Oh, this is after. So this is all in response to him. Shane Gillis bombs in his SNL monologue. This is from something else. The Hollywood Reporter is actually surprisingly not as critical. Shane Gillis hosts SNL not with a bang, but a meh. No, that's pretty moderate of the Hollywood Reporter.
So yeah, well, like I've said, and I'll always say, if you want to sound smart, Joe, here's a life hack. If you want to sound smart. You say something is like a Rorschach test.
Right.
That's really how you sound smart these days.
Yeah.
So Shane Gillis's performance, but like monologue, I think, because that's really what I think a lot of people focus on, because that's just him, right? It's his material. He's not part of a skit. And like a Rorschach test would be, for some people that absolutely bombed. Like the people in the band there's one girl just has sourpuss on her face the whole time. And I think the guy, I don't know what he plays. He's been there for like, he's been there for years in the same spot. He's a black guy with not a fro, but like kind of spiky-ish hair. He was kind of laughing. Like this girl just had like, you knew that she knew she was right over his shoulder and she was not going to even smile. And that's bullshit, because anyone could have found some of that funny. It's not like he was going up there just saying retard this and black joke that or whatever. Like it was he made a lot of fun of himself and stuff, and she just did not even show teeth. Like so, but I mean, but are you judging it on, not you, but these reporters, are you judging it on that audience? Well, if you have to play to your audience, like just because you are very funny in some rooms, you will bomb because your audience doesn't have a sense of humor or they don't like you or whatever it is. But I don't even think that happened here. So even if you're using that kind of barometer, I don't think that's what happened here, because I think the audience liked him.
I don't think he bombed.
Those headlines are for people who weren't going to watch, either because a lot of people don't watch SNL anymore, or because it was Shane, and then they had their what's the word I'm looking for? Resolve kind of bolstered. Like they didn't watch it. I'm going to be defiant and not watch this bigot, and then go on CNN the next day and go, yes, I was right. I was right for not watching that. I'm an ally. So that's all who that's for.
Yahoo has a funny Yahoo has a funny headline. So I don't know if you heard that Netflix just signed a deal with Shane Gillis. He's getting another special, and he's going to get his own show.
Yep. Oh yeah, that's big.
So this is what it says in Yahoo Entertainment. Netflix is betting big on Shane Gillis since he's apparently okay now. I like how it's just like they assumed that it was a matter of record that Shane Gillis was an absolute bigot, like an absolute just white supremacist. It's like, I guess he's okay now. Like, when did that become a thing?
Yeah.
90% of people who saw that just don't give a shit. So
No, not at all. And the other skits I thought were I like the HR one. I thought that was kind of funny.
I
Where
watched the church one, the Rastafarian.
yeah, the church that was okay.
Yeah.
That wasn't that funny. I think the HR one was very funny where it's like sexual harassment, like workplace harassment, and like so if someone does like if you ask someone on a date and they say no, it's harassment to ask them again. But if someone doesn't use their one, does that carry over? It's like no. What are you talking about?
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well,
I can't remember. And then there's the Trump one. I can't remember the others. But I thought it was good. Like I don't know why. I think I feel like this issue got to this thing where, like people don't even remember why he got fired before
Yeah.
he even. I don't even think he worked a day at SNL, right? Like I think he got hired and then fired.
Yeah.
And I bet people don't even know why.
Right.
Like it's just that happened. It was because he's doing accents and shit. That's like I don't know. Like he if you hear him talk about it, he says he didn't even remember it.
Yeah.
Like he was on his podcast or on a podcast, and the next day or whatever it was, I don't know if it was the next day, but his agent called and said, like, did you say these things? And he was like, no, what are you talking about? Like, you didn't remember because the podcast, we shoot the shit. And it's just, and he was doing like Asian accents that people have been doing forever. And
right.
I don't know, maybe they're kind of distasteful, but it's like, it's an accent. Everybody does accents of each other.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. It's all, that was like pre-2020, right? That was like pre-Awakening.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, that was when they really had a lot of power behind them, and then it culminated in 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
But tides have certainly shifted if Netflix is giving Shane a special and another special and a show. I think that's the bigger one, is that they're giving him a show.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right. Anything else you want to discuss?
I'm trying to think of a good segue for our next topic.
Oh no, I can't help you out because I don't remember what it is.
Shit. It's libs of TikTok.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Well, you splice one in if you think of it.
Yeah.
Before we wrap up, we have a Patreon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we have a Patreon with 4 tiers. There's merch. They range from $3 to $29 a month with different merch levels. And we love you if you sign up for that. It's a great way to support us.
Yeah.
You also send us a one-time buy us a beer on PayPal. Again, just showing your support. It goes towards paying for different stuff for the pod. And just because you want to show your thankfulness to us doing this every week. Because we don't really realize that we don't really like each other that much. We do this for you. We do this for the fans.
And the money.
And yeah, we're in this for the money. But you can support us in other ways by simply sharing the pod, YouTube, Spotify, liking and subscribing, sharing on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok. Do you think we're on TikTok anywhere? Do you think anyone has shared us on TikTok and that we just don't know about it?
I'm pretty sure we're viral. I'm pretty sure somebody's making millions and trillions and billions and maybe even gazillions off of us.
I'm not saying it'd be a good thing. I'm like, look at these bigots, and it's like we're just getting shit on by like 16-year-olds in the Oklahoma City school district or something. Like, I don't know. But anyway, if you're on TikTok and want to share us there, that's great too. We like to connect with the youths of America and China. But anyway, I wanted to get that in so we didn't forget. Now, Taylor Lorenz and I think it's pronounced like Chaya. I'm not giving it that much chutzpah. Chaya, I'm saying it's Chaya Rachik. Yeah. And Taylor Lorenz met. It was an unstoppable force versus an immovable object.
Yeah. It was interesting.
Can I put something on the record?
Yeah.
And this was not always the case. And it's hard to tell because she's wearing a mask outside.
No.
Taylor's not looking bad.
She's actually quite attractive. I think she's pretty.
She is, which she wasn't always.
Right.
Good for her.
Yeah.
She's fat phobic.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But
We just funny, like they actually look kind of like each other. They look kind of similar.
that's what I wanted to get to, is that I think there's potential here
Yeah.
for some adult fan fiction
Yeah.
literature. Taylor Lorenz and Chaya Raichik. They
Yeah.
met in, I think, LA, which I thought Chaya, I think she's from Brooklyn, but I guess she lives in LA now, famously behind Lips of TikTok. I believe I drafted her in the crit draft.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Or the account, which is her. So they had a tete-a-tete at an outdoor, and I want to be clear, it was outdoor, and Taylor was wearing a mask
Yeah, I know.
because she's lost her mind. And they're kind of going back and forth, not like really talking past each other. I don't know. Did you watch I guess if you want to call it an interview?
I just watched clips of it. It didn't seem particularly productive. It just seemed kind of like,
No,
well,
it
what do you think
didn't.
about this? Well, yeah. Well, what do you think about that sort of thing? It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
not
it
really
was like,
discussing.
and I'm gonna be harder on Chaya here because like we know that Taylor is not a good faith actor.
Right.
Like she's crazy and unethical.
Yep.
And like the questions she was getting, I think Chaya became so defensive that I kind of expected better from her. So an example would be like Taylor would say, well, what about when your follower, like people comment or give me death threats or whatever, and like all Chaya had to say was like, that's wrong. I'm like, she keeps like, I'm sorry that happened. Like she would look better if she's like, I'm sorry that happened to you. That's wrong. Like but like, by the way, I get just as many death threats as you do. Like you can like, and she just went straight to that. It's like, well, what about when your followers give me that? Like you don't sound very you could just present yourself better if you acknowledge something that's wrong. It's kind of like going all the way back to the beginning with Aaron Bushnell. It's like, no, you can acknowledge Hamas is bad. That's okay. Like you actually gain more credibility by doing that.
Right.
So Chaya could just be like, that's wrong. Like I'm sorry. I never, unless she has directed people to death. I give her enough credit. She hasn't done that. But like I would never tell anyone to threaten you. I expose, like I merely just post what's already public, which was what she does on TikTok. Because some people criticize her for editorializing. I don't see too much of that. I think it's strongest when it's literally just a platform. Like she's platforming crazy people. And that's how it took off. And I think that's all. Like if she wants to redirect it in that direction, I don't know what Taylor's response would be, but she kind of stooped down to Taylor's level.
Which is sad because Taylor Lorenz is pretty easy to decimate.
Yeah, she's not like, I think she has done good reporting in the past. I think she's broken. Like it's unfortunate, but there's like a lot of broken people, and she's going to take the worst possible interpretation. I'm sure, there was just that child who was killed. And I think actually it's been Oklahoma City. I think it was Oklahoma City school. And of course, was it a hate crime or not? Like more and more evidence is showing it's not a hate crime at all. Nothing to do with her being non-binary. And I say her because her parents use her family uses her. It's kind of like, it was like a kid, and they would decide what pronouns to use on what day. And there would like evidence came out that had nothing to do with their gender. It was a fight at a school. She suffered a concussion. And in fact, there was evidence that her friends started it they were being bullied. I think there was a lot of bullying going on, but that's not a hate crime.
Right. Exactly.
And a lot of bullying that had no indication that had to do with them with any gender things or anything like that. And of course, Taylor is going to ascribe that, which isn't, and even if it was true that it was a hate crime, she would ascribe that to libs of TikTok to say you have blood on your hands, which is not true. Like that's not how it works. So you have to know that going in if you're Chaya Raichik, and be prepared. Like that's what's surprising for me, because I've always said like conservatives and heterodox people and basically people who are constantly pushing back against the mainstream kind of neoliberal to even progressive agendas, they're usually better spoken and can handle themselves better, because they constantly have to be honing their skills. You don't have professors on your side the vast majority of the time. You don't have the media on your side the vast majority of the time. So you have to kind of do double the work.
Right.
And I feel like Chaya should have been better at that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, I agree. But I did like her wardrobe for that meeting.
Oh my God. Yeah. She was wearing, I mean, that's like, yeah. I mean, this is someone who, so what we're referring to is Chaya was wearing a t-shirt of Taylor Lorenz crying on, like a picture of her crying on her t-shirt.
Yeah, I remember that interview. That was unbelievably cringy. She's just like, some just gets so hard being online and getting, threats from anonymous people, and it's like, yeah, but look at the shit you post though.
Yeah, it's like you again. I don't think I couldn't imagine even the people who I hate the most, like really, really hate. I would never could imagine like threatening their lives, right?
Yeah.
Like that, you have to be perverted and sick to do that. Like I'll rip on them, I'll shit on them, like I'll make fun of them, but like to give them death threats, or like women have to deal with a lot of like sexual rape threats, things like that. That's really disturbing, and I am sorry that she has to go through that. But she also lies about people, and she turns like she's not doing the Lord's work and getting these threats. Like, no, she lies about people. She fans the fires of lies, like pushing. She pushes lies that have real effects on people. And I think Chaya, I understand why she would wear that shirt, because Taylor went to her family's house in Brooklyn. That's that whole shoe leather thing, and has blamed her, basically called her violent for merely posting clips of crits in their own words.
Just
would have been nice if they kissed at the end.
I know
I was waiting for it.
Me too. But so Taylor Lorenz blocked me on Twitter, so I had to log into the TRM account to look at her shit. And she thinks Mehdi Hassan is one of the best journalists in the business. So,
oh my God, Mehdi Hassan's the fucking, I can't stand that guy. He talks, he has that cadence that he talks like this, that all BBC anchors speak like. I can't stand that. It's like a thing over there.
No. Well, anyway, that's it for this week in bullshit.
Yeah, that's it. Next week, I think we should do final Oscars picks. We talked about it a while ago, kind of when the noms came out. I've had some time to watch a lot of movies and could do some more. And I think we should do our picks next week. Does that sound good? Because the Oscars is the 11th.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Or 10th, 11th. Is that Sunday?
March 10th.
So next week, does that sound good to you? Does that sound good for the people? Can they look forward to that, Joe?
Hold on. I'm waiting for the audience to. Yeah. They said yeah.
DM us if that works for you. Works for you guys. Yo, one last thing. It's funny. I refrained from calling you Jose this episode. You know why? I saw in Austin, there's the current DA who's like a Soros bullshit DA, right? His name is Jose Garza.
Oh shit!
And because I saw something on there, it's like Jose Garza. I'm like, wait a minute, what? And he's being challenged by like a more sane, normal kind of Democrat. Because basically, Austin, the Democrat, whoever wins the primary is going to become most likely the DA. Republicans do win sometimes. Seattle actually elected a Republican DA, kind of crazy, something like that. But yeah, because the person she was running against was wearing like Mao Zedong dresses and shit.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Don't quote me. I have to check exactly which, but something with the prosecutor. And also,
I remember that.
Was a shithole. So with their crime. So anyway, I thought that was pretty funny. I was like, oh no, Jose Garza. Hopefully he loses. But yeah, I think Elon might even because Elon doesn't he live in Austin now? Or they moved, so it's like not just him getting involved in politics, it's gonna affect his well-being. Like, you don't want to work and live in a city that, I I'm sure Elon doesn't live in Austin, but maybe he does. I mean,
Yeah.
he could live right downtown, but I feel
Right.
like all those guys live outside of it. But anyway, yeah. So I'll keep you updated on your cousin in Austin.
Thanks, man. And then one thing I want to say, I want to say something nice about New Jersey.
All right.
There's one teeny tiny little bit of
We'll take
that's
it.
worth redeeming
Yeah.
about New Jersey. So I follow. It's one of those things on YouTube where it's like if you watch a couple of restaurant review things, then you're just flooded with them. And so there's this one, and they live. I think they live like in New York and New Jersey area. There's a pizza place in New Jersey, and it's like the surface of the pizza is like nothing but pepperoni. It's just crazy amounts of pepperoni. I mean,
Really?
yeah, there's cheese, and then it's just like nothing. When you look at the pizza, it's nothing but pepperoni. That is where like they curl, they turn into little cups,
Yeah.
And then so what they do is I think they fry the pepperoni first, and then they put the pepperoni on the pizza, and then they bake it, and then they save the oil from the pepperoni, and they mix it with their house-made ranch, and then they squirt it all over the thing when it comes out of the oven, and then they put more pepperoni, and then more like the so I was like, okay, New Jersey, you've done one thing right. Thank you.
I'm curious where because my favorite pizza place is in New Jersey, obviously, but I don't think it's that. Star Tavern.
Yeah, I'll find it to you. I'll find it and send it to you because it looks pretty amazing. So
sweet.
Yeah. So, all right, everybody, fight the Crips and
fight the Crips. Don't fight the Crips. They will shoot you. Fight the Crits.
Crits, yeah. And subscribe to us everywhere.
Do it.
All the channels.
Fight them.